Well, guys, we've made it. We have finally made it all the way up to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass. We made it from ranking Super Mario Kart Track all the way up to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which we now know is today's popular Mario Kart game as we speak of now. And we're going to wrap up ranking all the racetrack once and for all. Where will they all rank for the final 48 track? Even I don't know yet, but we'll find out together for this episode. Hey, what's up, Fighter? Fightman64 here, and welcome back to another Mario Kart Track tier list video. Last time we took on the base game of Mario Kart 8 tracks and ranked them from best to worst, or better known as the first half of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe track in general. And this time, we take a look back at the Booster Course Pass and determine them again by ranking them from best to worst. And my thought has changed this time around. Some of them have been ranked higher, some of them have been ranked lower, and then there's some that stayed put in their respective position. Which one ranked higher, which one ranked lower, or anywhere else? Well, like I said earlier in the video, we'll find out together. But before we start, do me a huge favor and punch that like button on this video. I would really appreciate it. And also, don't forget to hit the subscribe button today if you're not a subscriber already, because there's still a lot of you watching my videos as a non-subscriber. And our next goal is 700 subscribers. So if you're watching this now and you have not subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button today and help us reach that goal of 700 subscribers, and hit the notification bell if you enjoy gaming content such as this one. So, like we did in the last Mario Kart Track tier list video, we have 6 categories. S is obviously being the ones that are my favorite tracks. A are tracks that I do love but don't consider them top favorite. B are tracks that I think are decent. C are tracks that I don't care for. D are tracks that are not too great but not the worst. And then F tier are tracks that I either hate or had the least amount of hype on and was therefore disappointed. I think you know the gist of that. There are 6 ways for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass, which happened from the start of 2022 all the way up to the end of year 2023. We had Wave 1 through 3 from 2022, and Wave 4 from 2023 all the way to Wave 6. And my thoughts have changed, but which one has changed? Let's find out together right now. So, now we're going to start off with Wave 1 of the Booster Course Pass. Now, Wave 1 is obviously the weakest of the bunch for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and for obvious reasons. Because let's be real here, this was Nintendo's new take on adding DLC tracks for the game. Although Mario Kart 8 of the base game did that, but that was only 16 tracks in general. But now we got 48, marking a total of 96 tracks in total for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. That's a huge record. I mean, Tour might have set a record too, but whatever. But anyway, enough rambling. Because I hope you grabbed your tickets, because we're going to be going on a wild ride this time around, from touring famous landmarks to returning courses and new ones as well. And our first destination takes place at Paris, France, at Paris Promenade. Honestly, this was a pretty decent track all in all. Do I love it? No. But do I consider it mid? Also no. Because it's a pretty solid start for opening the track and having to represent tour tracks there. You have like the Eiffel Tower that you're driving by. You're going like different route, especially on the final lap, where you like go the same route in 2 laps and then take a different direction on the final lap. And this is the first track that does this, and I love this detail so much. But like I said, it's not my favorite tour track because there's like other tour tracks that I think are decent. And for Paris Promenade, I will give this at least a B tier. I think that's a pretty solid start so far. Alright, next up we have for Mario Kart 7 Toad Circuit. Honestly, why the hell did they bring Toad Circuit into the picture? It was the starting track for Mario Kart 7 and in Mario Kart Tour. I'm not kidding you when I say that about Tour, because when you do the training session, you start on Toad Circuit playing as Toad in that game. From what memory can recollect from playing it. But here, however, we're talking about Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And this track is as bland as it gets. And I think this is like the weakest track of the bunch. And why is it weak? Well, there's just nothing too exciting about the track. I mean, the only exciting thing I can probably see is going off the takeoff ramp, where you glide during lap 2 and lap 3. And there's like floating tow balloons, obviously, as you can see from the track icon design. And it's just pretty much like a NASCAR circuit sort of thing. Almost in a way of figure 8. But yeah, Toad Circuit, it never brought any excitement to me, and I am not even sure why they even decided to bring that track into the game, because there are like other 3DS tracks that was much better than Toad Circuit, and Toad Circuit just does not do it for me. For that reason alone, I have to give it the worst ranking. And if you think that's gonna be the only track that gets the worst ranking, well, surprise, surprise, it's not going to be alone this time around. But that's a surprise for later. But anyway, next up is Choco Mountain from Mario Kart 64. Honestly, a pretty fun track, now that I think about it. And I honestly think this is like a better and improved version of Choco Mountain from the original Mario Kart 64 and from DS. I mean, they were both pretty good, but I think this is the best Choco Mountain have got. Do I consider this S rank? No. But again, I do love Choco Mountain. In fact, with me being someone who grew up playing Mario Kart 64, I have to give proper point for Nintendo for bringing this stage, because I think this is one of the best tracks to race on for the Golden Dash Cup of the 4 we have so far. Now, why you say that, you may ask? Well, let's talk about Coconut Mall from Mario Kart Wii real quick. Now, Mario Kart Wii's Coconut Mall for this game, I have rather a conflicting feeling about this. And I'll tell you why I say that. So, when they released Wave 1, the cars that you see near the end of the track, they did not move at all. And I mean, they didn't move at all. It's just 2 cars with Shy Guys in them. And then Wave 2 comes in later, and then they do have Shy Guys in the car doing hazardous effect by like literally doing donuts around the track, which honestly is pretty easy to dodge. And with some of the changes they made in Coconut Mall, it feels like a downgrade for me, because Coconut Mall is iconic in Wii and in 7. Is it overrated? I think it is. But I don't think it's the worst overrated one in general. For Coconut Mall, I originally put this in A. When I did the booster core path for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. When I started ranking it since Wave 2 when trying out the track. But for this one, I'm going to put this at least a B tier. This does not go to A. Nor do I think it's in the mid section as well. So that's why I'm saying Choco Mountain is better than the 3 tracks that we've covered so far. Anyway, next up we have the Lucky Cat Cup for Wave 1. And this one we have Tokyo Japan of Tokyo Blur from Mario Kart Tour. Now, can I be really honest with you? I honestly hate this tour track. But I don't think it's an F tier. Because I do like how every section you go a different direction on Tokyo Blur, but I feel like there's a few things that are missing with that track. Yeah. For Tokyo Blur, I'm going to give this a D tier. Tokyo Blur, this is obviously got to be the weakest track out of them all. Because Tokyo Blur, while I do respect the fact that you go different routes each lap you do, my biggest problem with Tokyo Blur is that you don't get many item opportunity in that one, and that's what killed the ranking for me. Now, it may be a favorite to some, but I don't think I know of anybody who would say that Tokyo Blur is a favorite for them. But it goes to more than obvious that Tokyo Blur is the weakest of the bunch. And doesn't take away the fact that I hated racing on Tokyo Blur in Mario Kart Tour, because I would always get nailed by item constantly in Tour. And that same about can be said for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Therefore, I gotta put this in D tier. But I don't think this is the worst track of them all. In fact, I think there are tracks that are worse than that, but we'll get to that later. Next, we have Mario Kart DS Shroom Ridge. Yeah, Shroom Ridge didn't really scream hype for me. It did for some, but me, personally, it did not. Basically, it's a traffic city core. You're dodging cars from the left and right. One's going in the opposite direction of you, and some are going the same direction as you. Now, while I do think the shortcut in Shroom Ridge is cool in that, Shroom Ridge never screamed hype for me, as I said, because, for me personally, there were better Mario Kart DS tracks they could have chosen from over Shroom Ridge. For that reason alone, I'm going to put this in C tier. Anyway, next up we have Super Circuit Sky Garden. Now, this is a track that some people hate and that some people love. And really, to me, I'm about in the middle of that. Part of me love it, and then a part of me is disappointed in specifically the track layout. Now, I have one friend that actually do hate Sky Garden because of what they done with the track and the track design and that stuff. But me personally, I still love Sky Garden, but I still would have preferred the original and the DS version of Sky Garden personally. It's still a fun track and all, but it doesn't feel like the same Sky Garden, and that's probably my biggest red flag for Sky Garden in general. For me personally, this gets a low B. I would put this in A tier if I really loved it, but thinking about it now, I think the original and the DS does better than 8 Deluxe version of that. Even Tour. Although I didn't play this one in Tour. So, yeah. So, Sky Garden, I'm sorry, but I gotta give you a low B. And now we get to the best track of Wave 1, and that is being Ninja Hideaway. This is obviously going to be an S tier for me because I freaking love this track. The music is a banger. The track is screams so much hype, and I really love the design they give for Ninja Hideaway. You got the Ninja Shy Guy. You got high and lower parts of the track. There's like riding platform with Ninja Shuriken at the very bottom of it. Some Piranha Plant cardboard. Some that you also see in Tour. And this track screams hype. But what I will say is that the 200cc time trial for the staff go, it is abysmal to beat. And kudos to anyone who is able to beat that ghost. Because it is really hard to beat. But that's part of what I love about Ninja Highway. Because Ninja Highway is a blast. And it's easily the best one out of the 8 that we covered for Wave 1. So, yeah. For Ninja Highway, this is easily going to get an S tier. Alright. Wave 1 down and only 5 waves to go. And next we go to Wave 2 of the Booster Course Path. And this, I believe, is the Turnip Cup that we're looking at now. And the first one up, we have New York Minute from New York, New York. This was one of the tracks that I wanted to see make it into Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And my dream came true. Now, is this the best tour track in my opinion? No, it's not. But it's still a pretty solid track because, believe it or not, New York Minute is like the first destination that you go to in Mario Kart Tour. Before Tokyo Blur ever came around. And Paris and some other later on. New York Minute, I do love how it has like a Mario vs. Donkey Kong reference on there, and that the music is more chavvy like situation and that stuff. I mean, it's kind of what you expect from New York, New York. And it does bring the vibe to it well. And for that reason, I'm going to give this a pretty high B tier for that matter. Up ahead of Coconut Mall. So, yeah. Anyway, next up we have Super Mario Kart Mario Circuit 3. Honestly, why did they bring this track back? Like, I'm so sick of Mario Circuit 3, dude. And I just do not see the hype of this track at all. And that's not only because it's a flat track and that is boring to race on. Because, get this. This was remade in Mario Kart Wii. And remade again in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And Mario Circuit 3 never screamed hype for me. It's just plain boring and it's flat. But then again, all Super Mario Kart tracks are flat. In general. But there's at least one other track that does very well with its execution. And we're way far away from discussing that track here in a moment. Now, if I had to choose a different Super Mario Kart track than Mario Circuit 3, it'd probably be one of the Koopa Beaches, Mario Circuit 4, or maybe even Go Valley, for that matter. But Mario Circuit 3, it just does not do it for me, and it never screamed hype. And I feel most people would agree that Mario Circuit 3 left a weak impact. Same for Toad Circuit and Tokyo Blur. And that is why I'm going to put it at F tier alongside with Toad Circuit. It's boring. I'm sorry. It just is. But, want to know a track that is not boring? Mario Kart 64 Calamari Desert. Holy crap, did Nintendo go out with this one? So, remember what I said about Mario Kart 64 having to live the nostalgic dream of driving on the train track? in the past, well, now you can do that in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Because after lap 1, you go on the train track for lap 2, and part for lap 3. And I really gotta thank Nintendo for making those dreams come true. Because for those who have nostalgic memories of Mario Kart 64, I think you guys would be very, very happy to see that Calamari Desert has listened to their fans and make them live the dream that they deserve. Now, some people may not like waiting for the train tracks in general, but I never really minded it. Not in the original or in 7. And, if they didn't make a huge change from Calamari Desert, this probably would have ranked lower on the list. But instead, I have to give Nintendo a lot of credit for putting in as much effort as they did to let the dream come true of finally having to drive on the train track and being forced to go there. Because that was like a curveball from the left side. And I don't think anybody has expected that. But there's one other track that surprised me, but we'll get to that in a moment. But for the time being, Calamari Desert is easily going to be an A tier. Not S tier, but A tier. Nintendo, if you're watching this video, thank you for letting my dream come true here. It's amazing. Just in general. But not my top favorite course of all time. But yeah, it gets in high S tier in regards of that. And another one that could be S-worthy is Waluigi Pinball from Mario Kart DS. I mean, come on! It's Waluigi Pinball. What do you expect from this track? The track is like a pinball, and Waluigi is featured in it. And if you have any Waluigi course on here, you know it's gonna be good. I mean, the track is the same as Wario Stadium, I get that, and yeah. Waluigi Pinball, this has always been one of my favorite tracks to race on, and it just screams excitement and hype for me. But if I have to give one red flag for the Waluigi Pinball, or two, well, it's one, having the same track as Wario Stadium music-wise, and missing pinball sound effect. That's pretty much it. But I feel like those are in a minor, and having the same music as Wario Stadium for the DS, it makes sense. But whatever. Waluigi Pinball is gonna be in the S tier. I mean, you can't be a legend like that. Alright, next we have the Propeller Cup, I believe it is, for Wave 2. And this time we go to Australia to Sydney Sprint. This is one of my friend's favorite tour tracks, and it's honestly pretty good. Taking place in the summer, driving to the Opera House, and driving to a carnival. It's really fun all in all, and it is a great tour around the course. And it's better than the 4 that we have covered so far. Is it S-worthy? No. But it does scream a little hype for me. For Sydney Sprint, that's going to get at least an A tier. It's not going to be an S tier, but it had potential to be an S tier rank. It just missed it. By just a little. I think I'll put this ahead of Choco Mountain for the time being. But the one that really surprised me was Snowland. Snowland for Super Circuit. Now, if any of you guys remember Snowland from the original game, you will notice that the track, well, not the track, but the background was shaking like there was some kind of earthquake that happened. But Snowland, it's just gorgeous and beautiful, and the music is really great. And Snowland really fits the winter scene perfectly. And it doesn't get any perfect than that. I mean, it feels like you're going skating, and they did this track justice. And I love Snowland for this game. Much better than Super Circuit by a long shot. And this is also going to be a high A tier, easily for that reason. And next we have Mushroom Gorge from Mario Kart Wii. Another one of my favorite tracks from that game. And it's still pretty fun as ever. Bouncing off Mushroom and going different pathways. It's almost similar to that of Mario Kart 7's execution for Mushroom Gorge. Now, is it S-worthy for me? No, it's not. But the music is also pretty great. And I think my only downside for Mushroom Gorge is that the mushroom can screw you over at times. And for that reason, for Mushroom Gorge, let's put this at least an A tier, ahead of Sydney Sprint. Because honestly, most of the courses they brought back from the past are better than the tour courses. Just saying. And now we finally get to Sky High Sundae. Sky High Sundae is a course based off of dessert. And going to an ice cream theme course, it's pretty fun. And it makes me hungry for dessert every time I race on there. Now, if you guys have remembered correctly from whenever I raced this track, I placed this in S rank. And honestly, I regretted that decision. And the reason I regretted that decision was because, well, there was one red flag that I did not notice until now. Well, until people pointed it out in that matter. It wasn't recent, by the way. And it's the fact that it's an oval-shaped track similar to that of Baby Park and Excite Bike. And I can understand the reason for that, but it still doesn't take away the fact that Sky High Sundae is a pretty solid course all in all. This is going to get a B tier this time around. It doesn't land in S or A because of the red flag of it being an oval course. So yeah, B tier for Sky High Sundae. Wave 3 is up next, and we got the Rock Cup next. And our next tour destination takes place in the United Kingdom, or England in that case. London Loop from Mario Kart Tour. This is another track that I enjoyed racing on in the original Mario Kart Tour, and I still enjoy it pretty well to this day. Again, not my top favorite tour course, but it's up there. You have the big bend, and you have like the change out that roams around, an unstable bridge. There's like buses and that stuff. London Loop was pretty fun for me personally. But again, not my favorite track. And I think where I'm going to rank London Loop is, I'm going to rank this to at least an A tier. And I think I'll put that behind Choco Mountain, in my personal opinion. I was going to originally put it to B, but I don't think it's worthy of a... I think it's higher than a B tier, in my personal opinion. Anyway, next up is my favorite Super Circuit course. One of my top favorite Super Circuit course for this game. Boo Lake. OMG, did Nintendo listen to what I said about there being an imaginary lake that we can't see in Super Circuit. Boo Lake defined what a haunted course should be, and I could not be any more happier if I tried. This is easily an S tier for me because I love this Boo Lake to death. Way more than I do with Super Circuit, because Bootleg, as you guys should know, it was not a popular track originally, but this has always been one of my favorite tracks. I mean, if I had missed anything for Bootleg, it's the fact that they were holding candlesticks at the time. But now we just have a real lake that we can go underwater in. And this is like a dream come true that we get to finally see the lake of this amazing haunted courses. And I couldn't be more happier if I tried. And for that reason, I have to put this in S tier. It is like one of my top 10 favorites for sure, along with Ninja Hideaway. Now, I am going to say in advance that I may switch stuff around while we're ranking these, so if I do that, please bear with me, because my thought has changed over the years, as I said, but yeah, Bootleg and S. Next up, we have Rock Mountain from Mario Kart 7, another track that I do enjoy racing on. Going up and down the mountain and having to dodge boulders and trick off the pipe that shoots off air. It defines what Rock Mountain is. Now, it may not be everyone else's favorite, but it was for me. And it's still a blast to play, in my personal opinion. And I think it's a bit better than Choco Mountain, in my personal opinion. So, A rank is where Rock Mountain is going to play. And that same is also going to be said for Maple Treeway from Mario Kart Wii, but a low A. And why is it low A, you may ask? Well, Maple Treeway, I'm just going to say this right now, it's still overrated as heck. I mean, I hear nothing but so many good praises about that track, like, for it representing autumn very well. Which, to me, I can understand that, personally. And do I think it's better than Mario Kart 7? Absolutely. I mean, the net is still missing, but yeah. But the reason I placed Maple Treeway lower in 7 was because there was missing half-pipe ramps on that game. It felt like it was completely removed, and that's what brought it down for me. But for Maple Treeway, it pretty much maintained its balance in 8 Deluxe, and I do enjoy racing on this track very well. But it won't take away the fact that I still think it's one of the more overrated tracks ever. It represents autumn well, but it gets way too much love for my taste. For that reason, Maple Treeway is an A. Alright, Moon Cup is next for Wave 3, and next we have Berlin, Germany of Berlin Byway, a city course. Alright, Berlin Byway, it was pretty solid for what it is, but it doesn't scream excitement for me personally. Because Berlin Byway, it is a city track where you're dodging traffic and driving through Berlin. And the music is pretty good, but this was a track that I don't scream too much hype for, personally, in my opinion. And for that reason, I think I'm gonna probably put this in, I'm gonna put this in, I'm gonna put this in C tier. Sorry, it just didn't scream too much excitement for me. It's not bad, nor is it good. It's just mid in my opinion. Anyway, next up we have Peach Garden from Mario Kart DS. Another great DS pick for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. You have the chain shop still roaming around. You got like garden statues of Peach, Luigi, Mario, and the Toads. And you could also go a different route in the final lap, which I think was a really neat touch. Because you go the same route for 2 laps, and then you take a completely different road for the final lap. And I love that change so much. It almost feels similar to what that of Calamari Desert in that sense. And it's really good for what it is. This is easily a high A rank for me, without a shout of a doubt. I love Chain Chomp. I love Peach's Garden of the track. It's just a beautiful track of it all, of them all. And Peach Castle, it's just as good as it can get, in my personal opinion. A rank for Peach Garden. Alright, so next up we have a Christmas theme course. Very fitting since I'm recording this in the month of Christmas. It's Merry Mountain. Merry Mountain is a track that I don't think is really a favorite of mine, but I think this is actually a pretty solid course in my opinion. Now, my only gripe with Merry Mountain is that it's a pretty short track all in all. Because the thing with Merry Mountain is that, well, it's a short track and it doesn't take long for you to go around. And it's almost an oval shaped track, in my personal opinion. Now, I do think the flying train is pretty cool in that stuff, and that there's like a stack of presents like off the top of the hill. That's pretty much about it. This is gonna probably get a low B tier for me. It doesn't scream too much hype for me, but I don't think it's mid. So, for those who are worried that I'm gonna be the Grinch for Merry Mountain, well, no, I'm not. Because I don't think it's really worthy of being a C tier in that stuff. And last but not least, finishing off Wave 3 of the Moon Cup is Mario Kart 7 Rainbow Road. Holy crap! This stage is beautiful. And I mean it's really beautiful. It brings back the same concept as it does for Mario Kart 7. Being a section-based track where you're like going on a grand tour over the rainbow, who's flying through like space, flying through the moon and a Saturn-shaped planet and that stuff, and going through like a little bit of a tunnel and flying through rings and that stuff. It kind of gives me a little bit of Super Mario Galaxy vibe now that I think about it, and the music is beautiful. I mean, what's not to love about Mario Kart 7 Rainbow Road? It's so great, man, and I think this is like one of the best Rainbow Roads in existence, and it still stands out as that to this very day. So this is without questions getting an S rank for this time around. So yeah, there you go. That's my ranking for the first half of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass. And now we get to the second half of it, starting with the Fruit Cup at the Netherlands Amsterdam Drift. Now, Amsterdam Drift, this is a pretty decent track in my opinion, but it obviously is not the best one in my opinion. And the reason I don't say it's the best one is because, well, I thought about it for a little bit with having to race on the track and get the feel of it and listening to the music, and thinking about it now, it's not as good as I thought it was. So for that reason, I'm going to put this at least a C tier, because Amsterdam Drift, it didn't scream really much hype. I mean, the turn up section was pretty cool, where you got like the colorful flowers where it's like red, pink, and that stuff. But I think my problem with Amsterdam Drift is that for some section it is too short. And that's why I gotta give it a C tier. And same can be said for Riverside Park as well. Now, Riverside Park, I do love the visual for this track that comes from Super Circuit, but Riverside Park, it never really was a track that I screamed too much excitement for. Sure, the Patootie Piranha plant was a cool addition where if you hit one, you get a mushroom out of him, and that you come out of the waterfall at the end of the track, which I think is pretty cool. But other than that, it just barely doesn't scream enough hype for me to put it any higher than what it actually is. So, C rank is what this track gets. But anyway, yeah. Next up is Wii DK Summit. DK Summit, this is still one of my top favorite tracks. You're still doing tricks off a half pipe and doing lots of tricks, going down slopes, getting shot out of a cannon, a lot of that stuff. And DK Summit still remains a top favorite for me to this day. It is still really fun. I mean, my biggest fun, this memory of DK Summit is literally the fact that I did my first blue shell dodge in Mario Kart Wii. And that will always be a treasured memory for me to remember in that regard. But do I think this is an S rank? No. And the reason it's not is because falling off the track is pretty punishing to look at. If you were to mess up on one of the slopes on your way to the half pipe section, that stuff, that's where it can be pretty crucial. But for the time being, I will give that at least an A tier. I'm going to put this behind... I think I will put this behind... I'm going to put this behind... I think I'm going to put it behind Calamari Desert for the time being. So yeah, A rank for DK Summit. And now we have yet another great track that's new for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Yoshi's Island. And how fitting Yoshi's Island is the last track for the Fruit Cup, because Yoshi's Island, you just gotta admit it, this one screamed nostalgia. For anyone who has played Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, or maybe Super Mario Advance 3, Yoshi's Island, they should scream nostalgia for you, because you have the floor, you got Poochie, you got the flying bird, I forgot what their name were called, and you, well, it's Yoshi's Island, man. It's just really fun. You have the flying question mark cloud that you can hit, where if you hit that, it creates a bridge for you, and you got the goal line that you see at the end of the stage, with the flowers and that stuff. I mean, Yoshi's Island execution, it was well done. And I could not be any more happier that they would bring an iconic game and make it into a track. It's like a dream come true, and it's still a very iconic track to this very day, and an iconic game too. I love Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island, and I love the track itself. And I couldn't be thankful enough to have such a beautiful track such as Yoshi's Island. Of all the tracks that we have covered so far, Yoshi's Island screams a lot of excitement for me. And that's why it gets S rank for this one. Alright, next is the Boomerang Cup for Wave 4. And this time we go to Thailand, Bangkok Rush. Yeah, Bangkok Rush is another track that didn't scream too much hype for me. And I guess the reason for that because, well, I don't know much about Thailand personally. But what I do remember are there being wars of the riverboats that you ride on, the rafts. Well, you don't actually ride on the raft, but raft running through the water and that stuff, and bouncing off of tins. I do think it's a pretty decent track, but this one I did not scream too much hype for. And For that reason, I think I'm going to give this one the low C tier. I don't think it's a bad track, but I feel like more could have been done with Bangkok Rush. I'm sorry, but that's just how I feel. But anyways, Mario Kart DS Mario Circuit. This was a pretty decent course, honestly. Mario Circuit. This one had a forest scene where Wiggler can be found sleeping, only for them to wake up later during the race. And Mario Circuit, it actually does pretty well. And the music for Mario Circuit is so iconic. And it's pretty fun to race on. I do think it's pretty solid, honestly. Now, where do I play Mario Circuit, though, is the real question to be asking. Well, I'm probably going to put this as a B tier. I think I'll put this ahead of Merry Mountain for the time being. I still prefer Sky Garden over Mario Circuit, but not by much. Alright, so next up we got Waluigi Stadium from Double Dash. Yeah, this is easily another S rank for me, because Waluigi Stadium is super fun, dude, and I love it to no end. Waluigi Stadium, this one has more ramps and has more places that you can go in terms of which direction you go in terms of routes. Because there's like the half pipe that you can do, and there's like a little extra platform that you can land on. Two of them, actually. There's like one half pipe, and it's a pretty fun track. And it's super fun to play it on 200cc. And I just cannot give it enough appreciation as I do now. So, for that reason, I'm going to put Waluigi Stadium at the S tier. Now, while some people may not be a fan of the music or like the design of the track, you have to admit that the skybox and the background look beautiful. So yeah, both Waluigi Stadium and Pinball is gonna be at S rank. I just love it. And that same can also be said for Singapore Speedway from Mario Kart Tour. Yeah, this should really come to no surprise to anybody at all. Because Singapore Speedway, this has obviously got to be the best tour track ever. And I mean, it really is. Singapore Speedway just screams hype, and it screams so much fun. The music is great, the execution of the track is great, Skybox is great, a lot of things is great about Singapore Speedway, and it has to be the greatest tour track of all time. For a famous landmark, too, no less. It's really fun. I don't see how this would rank any higher than that. And I can't see any more tour track beating that, honestly. So, yeah. S rank is what Singapore Speedway is going to get. And now there's only 2 more ways to go. And next we have, I think it's the Acorn Cup. I don't remember what the next cup was. I will post what the next cup is. But yeah. Alright, so next tour track we got Ascent Grease of Ascent Dash. Another great and solid course. And this is another one of my top favorite tracks. Having to drive through the Coliseum and like famous landmark and having to drive through pass through many of the pillars and that stuff. This one was a fun track to race on. And this is easily going to be an A rank for me. A pretty high A rank at that. And for Ascent Dash, I'll put it right here ahead of DK Summit for that reason. Double Dash Daisy Cruiser. This is another turning course that made it into Double Dash and into, I believe, Mario Kart 7 had this. I could be wrong on that. I'm sorry, I often confuse it between Wii and 7, but I think it was 7 that had it too. Anyway, Daisy Cruiser. Now, Daisy Cruiser, well, it's not my favorite Double Dash track, but I think this is a pretty solid course as well. I mean, Daisy Cruiser, well, you're on a cruise ship, and you're having to deal with sliding tables, and there's like a little underwater aquarium that you can see close to the end of the track after you get past the sliding table section. It's pretty good, honestly, and this really deserves a B tier. I don't think this is C tier by any chance, and I'm not crazy for Daisy, but it's pretty decent at best. So, yeah. You can also see I'm giving a lot of praise for most of the tracks so far, because most of them are pretty good in my opinion. But there's at least 2 more, and maybe 3, that are just not that great. And we're going to begin to them in a moment. And next up we have Mario Kart Wii Moonview Highway. This is another great course to race on. Having to drive through the traffic, having to go at high speed at all costs. This one screams a lot of fun for me. And this, in my opinion, is like easily the best Mario Kart Wii track that represents Traffic City the best. You got the bomb you got to deal with, as well as many vehicles to dodge. It is just like the Moonview Highway that you know and love. Some different pathway that you can take too. Whether it's going to a pathway where oncoming cars head towards you, or there's cars heading in the same direction as you. Moonview Highway is fun, and it still is to this very day. And for Moonview Highway, we're going to put this as an A tier as well. A high A tier, as a matter of fact. But the one that beats Moonview Highway this time around is Squeaky Clean Sprint, a bathroom course. And holy crap did they do well with this one. Having to drive in the bathtub, going through the pipe where you see a wedding ring, flying over a toilet, and seeing like merchandise all around the track. Squeaky Clean Sprint is super fun to race on. I mean, I love flushing my least favorite character down the drain, and it is pretty fun to do. My throat's getting dry. Anyway, so for I cannot speak today. Squeaky Clean Sprint, that is going to be an S tier as well. Be right back. I gotta get me some water to drink. Alright. So that's another cup down, and now we get to the double cherry cup. Or just cherry cup, rather. And now we get to the second half of Wave 5. And the next track that starts the cherry cup is LA Lap, that comes from LA, California. LA Lap. This is another one of my favorite tour tracks to race on. Aside from Singapore, Athens, London, and Sydney. Excuse me. Now, when it comes to beach theme course, I tend to like them pretty well. Because for LA Lap, you're driving over a baseball stadium, you're going through a mall of some sort, and driving across the beach. I mean, it's LA, and it does remember what it is. Now, I wasn't born in LA, but I was born in California. That I will say much. And I'm pretty proud to say for my home state that I was born in, I have to get this an A rank. And there's also like a oil refinery that you can see on the track as well. So for that reason, I'm going to give LA Lap a high A tier. I'm not going to say high, but pretty decent A tier. Now, oh boy, this next one coming up. I hate what I'm about to say here. Next up, we have Super Circuit Sunset Wild. Honestly, this has got to be the biggest disappointment of them all. Sunset Wild, F you. Seriously, I do not understand why they did Sunset Wild so freaking dirty. And you want to know why that angered me to this very day? Sunset Wild, Nintendo has butchered this track so badly that it doesn't feel like the same Sunset Wild. And I'll tell you the reason why that is. And I'll tell you what angered me the most. Nintendo, I got something to say to you. What did you do to my well-beloved track? Like, seriously, you mean to tell me you're going to go out of your way to fix Coconut Mall, but not for Sunset Wild? Why? The sun is supposed to set in each lap. And they did not do that at all. Remove the Shy Guy tint? Check. No ambient background change? Check. Music not being too good? Check. Honestly, I am very disappointed in how they executed Sunset Wild, because the moment that we saw what Sunset Wild was, we had high expectation for this track to be very good. Like, you mean to tell me you're gonna make this track so good in Super Circuit as well as in Tour, but you're not gonna do it in 8 Deluxe? You'll work on Coconut Mall to be better, but not Sunset Wild? Come on! This is a complete ripoff to Nintendo fans that love Sunset Wild, and you have to butcher this track so badly that it's not even the same Sunset Wild. Like, let me race on the damn track just to not see any ambient change each lap. Mario Kart Tour did that, and Super Circuit did it well. So why can't you do that in 8 Deluxe? I'm sorry, I just can't not be more disgusted and disappointed in the proper execution that Nintendo have done. I mean, even Nintendo moderators could do that. So why can't they? I mean, they had 5 waves to do this, and they chose not to bother with it at all. Not even in wave 6. And that's why I have to get this in F tier. This pains me to do this, but with Nintendo's failure to live up to the reputation of Sunset Wild, it has to go there. I'm sorry, it's just... I just can't go over the fact that I'm just really angered for what they've done to my favorite Super Circuit track. Not to mention, it was an S tier in Super Circuit when I ranked it back then. But this just doesn't do it for me. Anyway, enough rambling, let's move on. And next we have Mario Kart Wii's Koopa Cave from Wii, obviously. This is yet another one of my favorite Mario Kart track, and this is one of my top favorite ones too. Now, I know people are probably going to disagree with me, but I have to put this at an A rank. It's not going to be an S rank this time around, but it is going to be at least a high A. And the reason for that is because it's freaking Koopa Cape, man. And going to Koopa Cape always feel like I'm going to Slitterbond up in like New Braunfels and that stuff. And yeah, or somewhere that has Slitterbond in the state that I live in. Basically, you're going through the water slide like you do with a Piranha Plant slide, and you're like seeing all the aquatic fishes that are present underwater when you go through that pipe section. But I think the only downside with this track is those electric things being absent. I mean, at least you could trick off the half pipe in Koopa Cape, which I think is something that makes up for it a little bit, but not by much. Therefore, Koopa Cape will get an A rank. Vancouver Velocity for Mario Kart Tour from Canada. This is another pretty solid track, and I solely remember this city because of the Mario Sonic at the Olympic Winter Game of the past time. Because Vancouver, where the first Mario Sonic at the Olympic Winter Game take place at. But we're not talking the Olympic game here. We're talking about the track. You have the famous candle thing that you see. You got like famous landmark, and you have like the Northern Lights. It's pretty cool to look at all in all. And I think I'm going to put this at a high B tier ahead of New York Minute. Now, I used to not like this track in Mario Kart Tour, but racing on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, it really isn't all that bad. So, for that reason, I'm going to put it at a B tier. Alright, wave 5 down, and only one more wave to go. And this time, we have the Acorn Cup. I believe this is the one that had the Acorn Cup, because I forgot what the cup was before the Cherry Cup. But yeah. Anyway, next destination for our Mario Kart Tour is Rome, Italy, in Rome Avanti. This is another pretty solid track in my personal opinion that takes place during the nighttime. Driving through the Colosseum and more landmark. I actually don't know a lot of history, by the way, so I apologize in advance. And yeah, pretty solid course. Gotta give this at least a B tier, that stuff. I don't find this quite an A-worthy tier, but it's a solid B tier for me. Alright, next up we have Double Dash's DK Mountain. Still another one of my favorite tracks from Double Dash, where you're shot off a cannon and into the angry volcano that's like fuming and flames. There's like falling boulders and that stuff, and I believe the shortcut in DK Mountain is possible, and you also have the unstable bridge that you see at the end of the track. Honestly, this track is so nostalgic, dude, and I still enjoy racing on DK Mountain to this very day. I think the only thing I miss with DK Mountain, similar to what DK Summit suffer from, is the character screaming. I think that's like my only downside with this track. For that reason, it'll get an A tier for this one. I think it's best for me to put DK Mountain and DK Summit together. Similar to how I did with Waluigi Stadium and Waluigi Pinball. But yeah, A tier for DK Mountain. Next is Daisy Circuit from Mario Kart Wii, which is, in my opinion, is the weakest Mario Kart track of them all. But I will admit it is a little better than Tokyo Blur in that regard. Now, if any of you guys remember me ranking Mario Kart Wii back in the past, you'll notice that I put Daisy Circuit in last. And the reason I put it in last in Wii is because, well, getting first place in that track, it felt hard for me for some reason. And I guess that's because of the many blue shells I was hit by in Wii. And my god, did I hate the freaking blue shells in Wii. Because I'm hit by them so often. Like blue shells in Wii are such overkill. Especially in higher difficulty. Now, if it was me personally, I would have picked a different Wii course over Daisy Circuit. Because Daisy Circuit, it's a simple track and doesn't scream too much excitement. And it would have been a perfect Wave 6 had Daisy Circuit not been present. But alas, it was there. Alright, so next up we have Piranha Plant Cove. This is another great track in my personal opinion. And it's a great beach scene as well. You got the eels floating around, you have like Piranha Plant statues of Petey Piranha. It's pretty cool to see in that regard. And the music is also a banger. Piranha Plant Cove. Honestly, if this was Wave 6, I probably would have made Petey Piranha playable in that game. Which, by the way, more character was added from Wave 4 to Wave 6 for those who don't remember. So, yeah. Piranha Plant Cove, that's gonna get an A tier for me. Because Piranha Plant Cove is fun, dude. And I pretty much enjoy it. Pretty good, actually. Alright, almost done. We have 4 more tracks left to go. And all these are about bangers here. And our last tour destination takes place at Madrid, Spain. Madrid Drive. And this is probably going to be my top 3 favorite tour course aside from Ashton Dash and Singapore Speedway. It's really fun. You got like a soccer stadium that you're driving by. You got like and a gallery room where you see like a bunch of Mario artwork, like Boost pursuing a Toad or like Bowser with the Koopling, and there's like varieties of stuff. And I believe a Piranha Plant is also there to greet you as well. And there's like a giant wiggler in the middle of the park where people are like sitting at the tables and that stuff. It's really a fun track. Madrid Drive, this is easily going to be an A tier for me, in my personal opinion. And I think I'll put it right close to where Athens Death is. Alright, so next up we have Mario Kart 7 Rosalina's Ice World. Now, Rosalina's Ice World. This is a track that wasn't my favorite in Mario Kart 7, but I still think the track is pretty decent. I mean, the long loop around that you see at the beginning of the stage, that was a bit tedious to deal with. I mean, tricking off the half pipe is pretty cool, and that you can land or either the high ground or the low ground for the underwater section and that stuff. And the ice is slippery like it is in Snowland. And I still love the music for Rosalina's Ice World. And it does represent Mario Galaxy pretty well too, also. For Rosalina's Ice World, it's going to be a B tier for me. Or do I want to put it in B tier? You know what? Yeah, I think I will put it in B tier. Because I do like this stage pretty well. I think it's solid. But obviously not the best of the Spiny Shell Cup. As for the final 2 that we're looking at, this is Bowser's Castle 3 and Wii's Ramble Road. And obviously, this should be no surprise that I put these 2 up into the S tier, because these are S worthy tracks. So, let's start with Bowser Castle 3. OMG! Super Mario Kart Bowser Castle 3. I could not be simply more amazed at the fact that Bowser Castle 3 is a blast to play. You can do many tricks, and you have the rock banger music that you're listening to. The swamps are less annoying, and there are multiple routes to take. And it rocks, dude. And this is how a Super Mario Kart track should be. It can't be all just flat like Mario Circuit 3 is, because what fun is that if a track is just going to be that flat in general? Like, seriously, that just sounds a bit messed up in my opinion. As for Wii's Rainbow Road, well, it's Rainbow Road, man. It's a really fun track. So many jumps to trick off on, and it fits the Super Mario Galaxy vibe well, too. And you still fall like a meteor anytime you fall off the track. It gives you a lot of Super Mario Galaxy vibe, and the music is also really good. And this should be no surprise that Bowser Castle 3 and Rainbow Road are both going to be at S tier for this one. So, yeah. Obviously, as you can tell, these rankings were not easy choices for me to make, but this is all I could do for now. And honestly, I had a blast ranking all the racetrack from Super Mario Kart to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Now, will this be the end of my Mario Kart tier list video? No, it's not, because next time we're going to be doing Mario Kart rank based on their battle mode execution. We won't be going over the battle mode tracks yet, but we will do that at a later time. Probably by next year, but who knows. But anyway, let's go over the final result of the ranking. In S tier, we got Yoshi's Island, Super Circuit Bootleg, Ninja Hideaway from Tour. I'm not sure why they didn't add that in that sense. Mario Kart 7 Rainbow Road, Tour Singapore Speedway, Squeaky Clean Sprint, Double Dash Waluigi Stadium, SNES Bowser's Castle 3, Super Mario Kart, Wii's Rainbow Road, Mario Kart DS Waluigi Pinball, A tier, Piranha Plant Co., DS Peach's Garden, Mario Kart 64 Calamari Desert, Tour Athens Dash, Tour Madrid Drive, Mario Kart Wii Koopa Cape, Mario Kart Wii Moonview Highway, Double Dash DK Mountain, Wii DK Summit, Super Circuit Snowland, Wii Mushroom Gorge, Tour Sydney Sprint, Tour LA Laps, Mario Kart 7 Rock Mountain, Wii Maple Treeway, 64 Choco Mountain, and Tour London Loop. B tier, 7th Rosalina Ice World, Tour Vancouver Velocity, Tour New York Minute, Tour Roma Avanti, Sky High Sunday, Wii Coconut Mall, Tour Paris Promenade, Super Circuit Sky Garden, Double Dash Daisy Cruiser, DS Mario Circuit, and Merry Mountain. C tier, Tour Berlin Byway, Tour Amsterdam Drift, Super Circuit Riverside Park, DS Shroom Ridge, and Tour Bangkok Rush. D tier, Mario Kart Wii Daisy Circuit and Tour Tokyo Blur. And at the very bottom of the well, in the F tier, are 3 tracks: Super Circuit Sunset Wild, Super Mario Kart Mario Circuit 3, and 7's Toad Circuit. So yeah, there you go. That is my final ranking of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass. The revised one from what I did from last year and 2022. So yeah, that's my Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass ranking. And that is going to conclude for another tier list video. So, once again, I want to thank you guys all so much for watching this. And if you enjoyed the episode and you'd like to see me rank the battle modes next for Mario Kart, don't forget to punch that like button, and that's what I'll be doing next time. So, once again, I am Fightman64. See you all. Have a good day. Game on, my friends, and take care. Goodbye, everybody, and stay safe. Adios.